Hi, welcome to this video. In this video, I will be talking about variables. Variables are a very important concept in any programming languages and even in JavaScript language. Variables are containers that hold some data. It grabs some memory and you give it a name and assign it some value and use it inside JavaScript code. You can also think of it a box of memory that can be used to store some value, and this value can be changed in a program over the time. Let me open brackets code editor and I will create some variables. I have this simple index.html file and I have linked an external JavaScript file myscript.js inside this index.html file, and this is the external myscript.js file. Both of these files are located inside the exercise folder. I will start by declaring a variable. When you need to declare a variable, you need the var keyword. This var keyword is JavaScript reserved keyword. So this var keyword and then the name of the variable, like my first variable. The name of the variable should describe the variable and it can be anything. When you declare a variable, its value is undefined. The undefined means the value of this variable has not yet been defined. So its value is right now undefined. Let me display this variable to the browser. I will use document.write method and I will simply add the variable name. To display a variable, you simply add it to the write method. You don't need to add the codes around it. I will save this page and let me open this index.html file in the browser so you can see the result of this variable. I will open the index.html file. So right now the value of this variable is undefined because there is nothing inside the container of this variable. So the value of this variable is right now undefined by default. Undefined by default. Let me declare one another variable. I will use var keyword and then name of the variable, my name. This is actually called declaration of the variable. Variable declaration. You can set initial value to this variable, and the way to set initial value to a variable is my name and then assignment operator. This equal sign is not simple equal sign. This is an assignment operator and it will assign some value to this variable. So remember, this equal sign is an assignment operator. Now I will assign some value to this variable. I will assign my name Irfan and then semicolon. Do you see I just assign a string value to this variable? The strings can be written inside a single quotes or it can be written inside double quotes. Both will work, but I will go with double quotes. So this way you assign some initial value to a variable and this is called variable initialization. During the initialization, you don't need to write var keywords. So you just simply type the name and then equal or assignment operator and then the value for this variable. Let me display this variable to the browser. I will write document.write method and then my name variable. I will save this page and I will refresh the browser so you can see the result. Refresh. So this is the value of undefined. This is the first one variable we declared and this is the result of my name variable. Let me create a line break so you can see it clearly. To create a line break, I need to write document dot write method and then the break element of HTML5. This will just simply create an HTML line break. Let me save it again. I'll refresh the page. So now you can see the result of my name variable. So right now this variable my name has a value of Irfan. You can save any type of data type, like this can be numeric, this can be boolean, or this can be string. So by this way you declare and initialize value for a variable. There is another way to declare and initialize a variable using a single line statement. Instead of writing these two lines, the variable declaration and the variable initialization, you can combine these two lines in a single statement. Before I move forward, let me add a line break, and this will create a line break between the previous result and the result after that. I will use var keyword, then name of the variable, and then assignment operator, and then I'm going to assign or initialize the value directly using a single line statement. So this is called declaration and initialization at the same time. Let me show you or display this variable inside the browser. I will use document dot write and then your name variable. Let me save it and I will show you the result inside the browser. So this is the result of single line statement, and using a single line statement you can also declare a variable and you can initialize it using a single line. So it is a good practice to use the single line statement instead of writing these two lines. Let me talk about this var keyword. This var keyword is an optional in JavaScript language. That means you can declare and initialize a variable without the var keyword. For example, my car BMW, and this is called declaration and initialization without the var keyword. I think it is not a good practice to not use the var keyword, and I will highly encourage you to always use the var keyword. You can also declare multiple variables in a single line, like var x, y, and z. So by this way you can declare multiple variables using a single line statement, and you can also declare and initialize multiple variables using a single line statement, like x is equal to 10, then comma, y is equal to 20, and z is equal to 50. So by this way you can declare multiple variables using a single line, and you can also declare and initialize multiple variables using a single lines. So in this case I assign numerical values, so the numerical values don't require the quotes around it, so I have not added the quotes around it. Let me add some comments to this statement, and this is multi variables declaration and initialization. Let me create another variable. I will name it serial number and I will assign it some numeric or number value. Did you notice I didn't add the quotes around it? The quotes are only required for string type of value. I will output the serial number. I will use document dot write method and I will add serial number. I'll save and refresh the browser. So this is the serial number. Let me add a line break so you can see the serial number clearly, and for that I will copy this line of statement and I will paste it right after this result so you can see it clearly. I'll save and I will refresh again. So this is the serial number. So by this way you can declare and store and assign values to the variables. Hi, welcome to this video. In this video I will discuss some rules for declaring variables in JavaScript language. There are certain names and characters which you cannot use for your variable names. These names which you cannot use are called reserved words. Reserved words are words that JavaScript keeps for its own use. For example, the word war or the word with. Certain characters are also forbidden in variable names. For example, the percentage sign and the ampersand sign. You are allowed to use number in your variable names, but the variable name must not begin with number. So 99 variable name is not okay. Now have a look at valid variable names. You can give variable name like my var, you with. You can use underscore for the variables. This teacher and student variable is valid, and you can add numbers to the variables but not at the beginning. Let me show you by doing some examples. I have this simple index.html file and I have attached external JavaScript file myscript.js, this one, and these two files are located inside the exercise folder. As I said, you cannot use JavaScript reserved keywords as a variable names. For example, if I declare var, this will generate an error because this is an invalid variable name. I will save this script and I will show you the result inside the browser. If I click and select inspect, and under the console window you can clearly see it is stating some error, and this error is because of this invalid variable. So you cannot use JavaScript reserved keywords for the variable names. It will generate errors. Let me comment out this invalid variable name. I will write a valid variable name like var my var. Now this is a valid variable name. JavaScript will not generate an error for this variable because this is not the JavaScript reserved keyword. There are some certain characters like percentage which you cannot use for variable names. For example, var my percentage variable. This is totally invalid variable name because of this percentage sign, and it will generate an error. A valid variable name would be var my underscore variable. You can use underscore for the variable names. Variable names can have the underscore inside it. There are also some other certain characters like var and the student, the teacher, and ampersand sign. Ampersand sign is not allowed for the variable names, and it will totally generate an error. If you create a variable like this and which has an ampersand sign, it will generate an error. So this is totally invalid variable name. I will also comment it out, and the valid variable name for this can be the teacher and student. So this is the valid variable name. As I said before, numbers are not allowed at the beginning of variable names. For example, var 99 variable. This is totally invalid variable name because of this number at the beginning of the variable, and it will generate an error. Let me comment this also out, and the valid variable name can be variable 99. So always be careful for the variable names. Now this one is okay. This is a okay variable name and you can use it. So these are some basic rules to write valid variable names and to avoid invalid variable names. JavaScript is a case sensitive language. The variable first name with upper N and the variable first name with lower n are two different variables. So you have to take care of case sensitivity in JavaScript language. It is not just about variable. JavaScript case sensitivity also apply to JavaScript keywords, function names, event handlers, and object properties. Let me give you an example of case sensitivity in the JavaScript. I will use variables for that. I will declare my first variable var first. Now notice I am going to write an uppercase N and name. I will assign it some value, Daniel. And now let me declare one another variable with the same name, var first. Now notice I'm going to write the lowercase n and I will assign it some value, John. JavaScript will treat these two variables differently because the first one has a uppercase n and the second one has a lowercase n. These are two different variables. Let me output the first one variable to the browser. I will use document dot write method and I will copy this one variable. I will paste it inside it and let me add a line break. Document dot write. I will add a break element. This will just create a line break in the HTML document, and let me also display this second variable to the browser. I will copy this name. I will copy this name and paste it inside here. I will save this script and let me show you inside the browser. So you can see two different names are rendering on the HTML page. So these are two different variables. JavaScript will treat these two different variables and they are holding different values. Let me open a Chrome browser and we will run some statement inside the console window. I will go to console window. For example, if I declare x is equal to 10 and then if I declare capital X is equal to 20, and now if I alert the lowercase x and I will enter, it will print out the value of the lowercase. It will not print out the value of the capital X. And if I declare a variable with y with value of 50 and if I try to access the uppercase y, it will generate an error. You see, because the uppercase y has not yet been declared, only the lowercase y has been declared. So the JavaScript is a case sensitive language and this applies to all the variable names, function names, keywords, events and objects properties. Camel case is naming convention in JavaScript language. Camel case is what the originators of JavaScript decided to go with. Let me declare some camel case fashion variable var my camel case. Now what is camel case? If you have multiple words in a variable name, the first word is all over the lowercase and any word after the first one begins with uppercase letter. As you can see, the C is in a uppercase and also the C of case is also in an uppercase. Let me write some more example of camel case fashion variables like var my first variable. This is camel case fashion variable and I will write some more example like first name. This is also camel case. Var last name. So these are the camel case fashion variables like mic age. So this is the naming convention in the JavaScript and it would be best practice to follow these language conventions.